Alrighty, we're gonna get rolling here in just a minute. Give a couple people a chance to get in here. May not have a lot of people, but not too big on this soundtrack. I've tried to like it, but I just can't do it. Just can't do it. So basically, just a quick run through of what I'm going to do is just do a quick breakthrough of a cap situation, kind of how to do the trades that you're discussing in DMs, just to see how those are going to do with your team. So the first thing you need to do, obviously, is start a franchise mode, do a offline franchise mode, and then obviously just use current rosters. I haven't done anything on here yet other than just create the actual thing. I haven't even actually looked at the roster, so I don't even know. We're going to learn together real quick just on their cap situation. Obviously, when I done the other video, we knew that they were negative cap. But we're just going to run through some stuff, kind of show you guys how I break down a team or practice trading, practice simming a couple seasons. The biggest tip I can give you is do as many saves as you possibly can. I'm going to do a quick save point right now. As you can see, these are some trades I've done with the Dolphins. And some of these trades are not final. Some of these trades were things I was looking at doing, but I'm always creating new saves. So here I'm just going to do Raiders. Just name it whatever you want to do it, but I'm going to do Raiders new. That way in my brain I know that this is an untouched Raiders team. But I'm going to go ahead and create that. That way if I do something, I cut a player, I make a trade I didn't like, I can back out and undo that. So let's just go ahead and go straight into it. So obviously the first thing we want to do is do salaries. I'm actually going to do a couple trades, just some random ass trades. I don't know what yet, but just to kind of show you how to add multiple teams, because obviously the computer will deny most of your trades, but you can force those through, and I'll kind of show you how to do that. First thing I ever do when I break down a team is look who I'm going to have to re-sign within the first 2 seasons, because that's really the biggest thing you want to focus on right away. So obviously with this team, we've got Richie Incognito, who's already 37. So I know in my brain I'm not re-signing him. I'll be lucky if he even plays out his contract. Now we'll get to his contract in a minute, but we're going to skip ahead. Next is going to be Randall. So I'm going to have to decide if I'm going to want to pay a 28 overall or 28-year-old safety. Yeah, he's 82 star. But he's got speed and acceleration, so he's definitely got the talent, but you're going to have to decide if that's something that you want to even look at. Obviously this year he's not making shit, so we know we can make it to the start of the season and we'll be able to see what he can re-sign for right away. So we're not worried about cutting him right now. Obviously he's a starter. Go a little further down, we got Hurst, so there's our first guy that we're wanting to look at. We got Prince, who's 31. So luckily so far we've got a bunch of old heads, Jason Witten, that are immediate. So we know we're going to be losing a lot of these contracts. The first thing you want to do is just look at your starters. Let's actually break this team down. Right away I can tell you I'm cutting or trading Derek Carr immediately. Look at this contract, $128 million. He only signed for 14.5 bonus. So in case y'all don't know how to break down a bonus, I'm just going to do a real quick one so y'all can get a better understanding of this. But essentially you got 14.5 is his overall bonus. Well, he signed that for 6 years, so we're going to see what that bonus breaks down to in 6 years, which is essentially 2.1 or 2.4 a year. And he has 3 years left on his contract. So multiply that by 3. So 7.25 is going to be the cap hit that we're going to get, which is basically half of that. Obviously, you can do quicker math, but some of these get a little more in depth than just breaking it in half. So essentially $7 million is the cap hit we're going to get for him, and that cap hit is going to be next year. So 2021 cap penalty for him would be a little over $7 million. As you can see, in 2020 alone, he's going to make $22 million. So I'm sorry, the next year. So yeah, $22 million. So we're still saving $15 million next year, even with the cap penalty, by getting rid of him. Yes, we don't really have a true replacement because unfortunately they paid Mariota a contract as well. So if you think that you need to make it 2 seasons, it would be possible to make it both seasons with Carr, but immediately I'm trying to find something to do. So this contract here is 17 with a 7. We're paying that full 7 because it's 2 years. We're paying that regardless. So yes, it's going to save us a little bit of money next year, plus this one this year, but we're paying that $7 million to him regardless. So it's going to save us $10 million over the next 2 seasons by getting rid of Marcus Mariota. Now, if you think 10's enough, then do it. But I'm just telling you right now, there's no way in hell I'm paying Derek Carr this much money, especially with this bonus being this low. That is the biggest way to save cap immediately with this team. Running back situation, we're good on Jacobs. We've got younger guys here. So Booker, I think it's an unnecessary contract, is a low bonus. So there's a quick way to make $800,000. The rest of these guys, I mean, that's chump change. This contract, you're still going to pay half of it. So unless you just need that $3 million, I would just let it ride for right now because he's still 27 or 26 years old. Fullback, I'm not even gonna waste time with a fullback. Even on Williams' contract, it's $44 million contract, but he only has a $9 million bonus. So technically, yes, he's our best receiver, but if we wanted to move on from Williams, we definitely could with this signing bonus. I mean, that's nothing at all, $9 million. We would already be making money off Williams by cutting him or trading him in year 2. So, especially with Ruggs, we got Renfro, we got Edwards, which I think Ryan Edwards could be really good. Speed and acceleration is not great, but in the slot with 91 jumping, he could be a really good wide receiver. So you could move on from Williams to save cap if you want a big-ass wide receiver, and you want to keep him as your star. I mean, he's on contract. He's star. He's 6'4". So I could absolutely see you wanting to keep him and just float this contract. But just know, $44 million with a $9 million bonus, we could get rid of that contract easy. Now Ruggs, look at that, $16 million with a $14 million signing bonus. Even if you get rid of him, you're paying $14.7 all next year. I mean, it's just unnecessary. So I see a lot of guys trading people that their full contract is almost a bonus. Just keep in mind, you're paying that receiver or that player to play for another team. Why not just keep them unless it's just an absolute must move or it's just a trade that makes sense for your team? If I was stacked at wide receiver and I know I could trade Ruggs for all these picks or whatever, then it may make more sense. But in the cap situation that the Raiders are in, that would not make sense. And then here's another one. This is what you would just want to look for, guys, is just total contract with a low bonus. We could save a shit ton of money by getting rid of Waller. Obviously, we're not going to. $6 million a year for this tight end. I mean, it's a star tight end, Waller. He got great speed, 90 speed. I mean, obviously, Waller is definitely not somebody we're looking to get rid of. But if it came down to it where you just absolutely had to cut cap, it's there to cut. Here's another one, Richie, which we already said. He's already 37 years old. I would let him ride on my team with this low of a $6 million for a 90 overall lineman. I would let him ride. He's going to retire, and it's going to end up saving you that money anyway. Plus, you're going to need his blocking ability on your team. This offensive line is really not bad. He's got a couple guys in the 70s, a couple guys in the 80s. The biggest thing is Brown's contract, and I think one other contract. Gabe's is not awful, but look at this. This is the first person I would probably try to trade if I was Mex. $57 million contract with only a 1.4 bonus. He's literally going to save every bit of this money. He is only going to pay him half of that because there's 3 years remaining. So you're only paying $750,000 to get rid of him, and look at all the money it's going to save you. You don't need him. You have other linemen that you can do. So we're going to add him. I'm just going to add some guys to the trade block, just as a mental reminder that these are going to be the guys that I immediately want to try to deal or do something with. There's plenty of guys in the league looking for a quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and say you're going to get a bunch for Derek Carr, but I'm immediately cutting him or trading him for something, because you're going to need it. Because here's the biggest thing I noticed right away, just scrolling through real quick. Who was it? Whose contract? Okay, so it's Hudson. So Hudson this year is only making $5 million, but it goes to $13 million and $14 million in the final 2 years. So if you go to Browns is more this year, but it goes down. His is going down 7, and Hudson's is going up about 8 or 9. So those two are going to kind of wash out. But you're still, I mean, it's still more cap that you're going to have to try to come up with somewhere. So just running through real quick, that's kind of what I'm seeing immediately. Some of these other guys like Nasbeth, you could definitely do something with that. It's $25 million contract, with about half of it, a little bit less guaranteed. So if you really wanted to cut some money, you're going to take a big hit right away with $13 million for next year cap penalty, but you're going to save that already. So here's a contract you can't get rid of, which I wouldn't anyway, is Farrell. This is the shit you got to look out for, guys. $31 million and 29 of it's guaranteed. Even if you get rid of him, you're paying this bonus. Like, you're paying him to play somewhere else. None of these guys are real big on cap saving. There's another guy you could get rid of to save some cap if needed, but you don't have really good linebackers, so it may be worth keeping him. That's just something you'd have to figure out. But you could definitely get rid of him, but it's definitely going to be a little bit of a cap hit, and it may be an unnecessary cap hit. Littleton, you're stuck with his contract. You could cut him or get rid of him, but it's not really going to save you that much. So it may just be, again, one of those guys you just want to let ride out. It's a position of need. He's young. He's a star. You might as well just keep him and roll with it. Now when we get to corners, there's a lot of money that could be gotten rid of right there. $42 million contract with a 16.5 bonus. So 16.5, you want to divide that by 4, multiply it by 3. So you're looking at a 12.3 cap hit. So, you know, going to cost you a little bit of money next year, but you could definitely make room this year, and then obviously it's going to save you 10.5 in 2022 by getting rid of Joyner. He's already 29 years old. They got him as a star, 87 speed, 91 acceleration. So there's another guy that we could look at getting rid of. And then Prince, we're going to lose his contract. If you wanted to cut him right away, you absolutely could. That's going to save you $1 million. But it's not something that's a necessity. You're going to lose that contract at the end of the year. Don't re-sign him. But you want to get Mullen in here starting. Here's going to be the guy that you want to build up. So he's only normal now. If it was me, I would probably use a development on him. I don't see a lot of other guys that are absolutely going to need a development unless you trade for a young quarterback. But you got him, and you got Arnett Jr., and you got Lonnie Johnson. So you got a bunch of long, lengthy cornerbacks. You've got, I mean, honestly, I'm just going to do it right now. I'm just going to go ahead and cut Prince just right away. Or you could move him to safety. But we just want to go ahead and get out of the negative. So make sure anytime you do something, back out and then go back in. This Madden's fucking stupid and it doesn't update it while you're in there. So we're just trying to get back positive. Let's look at the secondary real quick. Finish them out. So there's another contract. Abram, 11 million, 9 million bonus. You're not going to save no money. You're not getting rid of him, which obviously you wouldn't anyway. If you wanted to cut a little bit of money, you could get rid of Heath. He's only going to be a $2 million bonus. And that's next year, so that saves you the 3, plus that'll save you 2 this year. So you could definitely cut Heath right away and save you a little money. Same with Harris if you wanted to cut Harris to save some money. I want to go ahead and show you how to make a trade go through when you're playing in a franchise mode. So the first thing you want to do is go over to user management and go to user teams. You want to hit triangle to add a new character.
Select the team you want to join.
This is going to add a team in here for you to be able to trade with. Obviously, you can manage this team too. We're not going to go that far, but we'll just pick a random team, somebody that we know potentially has a quarterback that you could go after. We'll just do the Broncos.
Start your season with recommended settings. If you
want to go ahead and start with them, and then I'm immediately just going to switch back. And you can do this with as many teams as you want. So linemen, if we know we're going to be after a lineman, if you know a team that has some really good young linemen, we'll just say the Dolphins.
Start your season with recommended settings.
And then you want to go back to user management, user teams, and then you can cycle back and forth between these teams. I don't want to trade underneath those other teams. I want to trade under the Raiders, but now we can trade with those teams, and there's not going to be anything come of it. So I want to show you real quick. We're at negative 380 with no cap penalties as of right now. So all you want to do is just practice, man. You want to learn what is going to save you some cap. So we done the Broncos, so we'll say that we're going to just trade for Locke. All right, so let's just say we made a trade for a young quarterback, somebody that we're going to want to develop. So we got rid of Carr's contract. So now let's go back in to our salary and just see what just getting rid of Carr is going to do for our team, opening up cap-wise. So immediately we opened up $17.8 million just this season, and we only took a 2.65 and a 3.6 cap penalty. So obviously that's a no-brainer. That's not even counting the money that we made up next year that we may need to re-sign some of these guys that are twos, their contracts. So you're going to have Hurst coming up, which is a young defensive tackle that you're definitely going to want to re-sign. He's a star. He's a stud. He's a real set 94 strength. So this is a guy that you know you just made enough money just off of that one move to at least sign him and one other guy just by getting rid of Carr. So if you wanted to keep Richard, or if you wanted to keep your fullback, whatever you wanted to do, or if you made a trade for a guy that is going to be needing to re-sign in 2 years. So immediately, just by doing that one trade, that's how much cap we opened up. So the other one was going to be right guard Jackson. Let's take a look at our backups real quick. So we got a 65, a 61, a 66. So we don't really have a true guy that can step up and replace him. But let's just so this is after one move. You see the cap that we already opened up after one move. Let's go ahead and trade Jackson to the Dolphins for one of those young linemen. I got plenty of young linemen, I can promise you that. We're just going to go for the guard. We're going to go for Hunt. Because Hunt is not a bad cap hit for the Dolphins with him being a second-year guy. So that's definitely somebody you could go after. It's not going to work in this league, but obviously this is just for purposes. So we're going to trade Jackson for Hunt. Obviously, if we were doing this in real life, I would probably add more to that because Hunt is a rookie. But let's see what, and obviously, I forgot to say, always save. So after that trade or after that, I would have already saved. Just go in and create a new save point and name it trade with Broncos or QB, whatever you want to name it. Just something that's going to remind you of that actual trade. So now we go back into salaries. Now we have $26 million, and look at our cap penalty. It's still very low. There's a lot that you can do with this team with $26 million. So that's just getting rid of two guys. I could break this down further, and we could really shed some cap. And the easiest way to do that is just sort it by total contract and just look here at the ones that have a low bonus. So Williams, we know we can make a lot of money by getting rid of Williams, getting rid of Joyner, a little bit by getting rid of Nasbith, a little bit there, a decent amount by getting rid of Mariota. Richie Incognito, we don't really need to stress over, but if we had to make cap, we could do that and get that cap immediately, and it's going to help our team out. There's the biggest one. Something you wouldn't think about. But there's a tight end. I mean, we're going to have to keep Jason Witten's contract. I don't know if I showed Jason Witten's contract, but you're not going to make anything by getting rid of Jason Witten. He's literally a 3.5 bonus, and you're paying him $4 million. I mean, you're going to save $500,000 this season, and it's going to cost you $3.5 next season. So that's stupid. You might as well keep him, let him block for this final year, let him retire and go on his fucking way. But we've already opened up almost $30 million in 2 moves, and we've only been in this team for 2 minutes. So the next thing I want to show you is how do you prep going into seasons in the future. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the injuries off. I think I already did it when I set up the league because I knew I was going to need it. Yeah, injuries are already off. I don't want this to take too much longer, but I want to show you how to prepare for seasons in the future. So right now, we're not going to go ahead. We're not going to do all of our. You can go through, figure out the rest of your cuts, look at your starting lineup, break it down a little further. I'm just doing this, basically showing you how to make cap room immediately right now. But we want to go ahead and go to the regular season so that we can peek at these guys to see how much money it's going to cost to even sign these guys. And you can do this with any team. That's the best part, and that's why I wanted to show you this real quick. So if I'm looking to trade for a guy that I know is going to want to get re-signed, so we'll throw up somebody on the Dolphins, Matt Breida. So let's say that you're going to shut the fuck up. That shit's so loud. So immediately when we get here, we want to go to re-sign players. Now, we can't actually re-sign them yet, but we want to go ahead and get an idea of what these guys are going to want. So DeMarcus Randall, you're looking at 4 years, $28 million. So once again, that's where I said you're going to have to decide if he's somebody you're going to want to commit to, because 4 years, $28 million, it's a decent amount of contract for an aging safety. Yet again, you got Nelson Aguilar. Witten's going to want to re-sign. We're not going to re-sign him. He'll probably retire. But here's where you can go and go ahead and get an idea of what your guys are going to want. So you really don't have that many people to re-sign right off the bat. I mean, if any, I don't even know that I would re-sign any of these guys, but if you're really set on DeMarcus Randall, this contract here will get him through the rest of the cycle. He may not be a top safety in the league, but with his speed and his coverage ability, he may be worth doing it. And honestly, I would probably do it if I didn't have a replacement. Nelson Aguilar, I don't know that I'm going to pay him that. I really don't. That's something else you'd have to figure out. But go ahead and look at your players. And let's say that I'm going to trade for somebody on the Dolphins, and I want to know what he's going to want to re-sign for. We'll just go find out. Go ahead and pull that team up. And then go to their re-sign. So if you really want to know if you should make the trade for a guy, like, damn, I don't know what he's going to want to re-sign for. It may be different in our league, but here's a quick idea. Matt Breida's wanting 4 years, $15 million. So if I was wanting a running back, who the hell would not pay Matt Breida 4 years, $15 million, and only 4 of it's a signing bonus? So even if you decide to get rid of him after a couple years, he's not going to hurt your cap. So you can always pull up another team and see what these guys are going to want to re-sign for before you trade for them. So now the next thing to look at is really just how much money you're going to have next year right off the bat to re-sign these guys. We're not going to go through training and all that stuff. I'm literally just showing you this for how to run your team. Obviously, I wouldn't be simming all this. But let's get to the mid-season. That way, by the end, we're going to have at least our top guys that we're going to want to re-sign. We're going to at least know that they're available to re-sign now, because right now nobody can re-sign until like week 3. And then there's still some guys that aren't available till later in the season. But we'll just go ahead and get to this. Then we'll sim to an off season just to show you season 2. But this is definitely moves that I would make with the Raiders immediately if this was my team, just to try to get some cap. And that cap this year is not necessarily so important unless you're making a bunch of trades or you're going to sign a big free agent. So you're not really desperate to make cap this season. but this is saving you money for the following season as well. It takes forever to send. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is just go to the players. This is going to give you an idea how much money you're going to have. Oh shit, I'm under the Dolphins. I don't want to show y'all that. Y'all going to get an inside on my team. Fuck you. Let's go ahead and switch back.
Start your week by installing your game plan.
Appreciate it, Mix. All right, so here we go, man. So go ahead and start negotiations. So look at this cap room. Dude, you're fine. The Raiders are going to be absolutely fucking fine, man. You have $63 million going into next year, and the only moves that we know of that were made was getting rid of Carr and getting rid of that expensive-ass lineman. You still have a shit ton of money that we can make if we really wanted to break this down. But right off the bat, I mean, you got stupid money, $63 million. So if you wanted to go out in free agency and find somebody, you have that option now. But if you're just saying, fuck it, I want to sign him, give him a little extra money. Just make him happy. That way you don't have to sit here and go back and forth. He's going to want to re-sign with you. And he said he'd like a better bonus. So he's being fucking greedy. And that's where putting your coach bonuses and stuff come into play. But obviously within season one, we're not really going to have a lot of say-so on that. Hawkins is really a cheap contract if you need an extra D tackle. But the biggest thing I wanted to show you is just how much fucking money you're going to have season 2. So you don't need to stress over your team. You just need to go ahead and make a couple moves to get rid of a couple guys that's unnecessary. Spending way too much money on some guys that you shouldn't be. And then if you want to keep Zay Jones, so Zay Jones is 3 years, $15 million, and Aguilar is 3 years, $20 million. Is Aguilar really worth more than Zay Jones? They're essentially the same guy. He's 6'2", he's 6 foot. Their speed is similar. So if it was me, I would work year one on Zay Jones, upgrade him a little bit, and then if you want to keep a wide receiver, just go ahead and pay Zay Jones a little bit of money. But then you don't even have to worry about feeling like you overpaid Nelson Aguilar. Plus, Zay Jones is only 25 years old. So just a quick run through. You don't have that many guys to sign season 2. Your biggest thing that you're going to have to do, and anybody with the Raiders, is figuring out season 3 and past. Because season 3, I mean, look at all these guys you're going to have to re-sign. Hudson, which obviously he's older, but you're going to have Jacobs. Jacobs is going to want to get paid. And this ain't going to be nowhere near what that man's going to want. Then you got Brown. You got Williams. Joyner we're not going to worry about. You got Littleton coming up again. You already see he signed a 3-year, $36 already. He may want more than that. You got Hurst, which you'll already deal with. Crosby, we're not worried about Crosby. There's a bunch of other guys in the 3. That's really where you're going to have to be smart to make room for season 3. So the next thing to do after that, after you've signed a couple guys that you think that you want to sign, just go ahead and sim, obviously, to the end of the season. Get to the off season so you can really break down your cap even more. And then obviously you do the same process over and over. Look at your cap, sim to the regular season, see what the guys want to re-sign for. Go ahead and get a plan to see how much money you have, plus how much money these guys are going to want. Sim to the middle of the season, just like we did here. Go ahead and try to sign some of those guys. And then any trades that you are considering, go in here and make that trade happen, man. Make a save, make the trade happen, and see what it does to your cap. That's what I've done with any trade that I ever make, is I make a fake account and see what that trade is going to do to my team. And I sim multiple seasons to see what it's going to do. So a lot of guys don't know how to add those extra teams and make those trades happen. So that was the biggest thing I wanted to show, was just how to go about doing that. we'll go ahead and do the first off season, and then I'll go ahead and call it quits after that. I'm not going to talk about this for too long, but I really just wanted to show you and break it down. This is for anybody, not just Raiders, but you got to look at the contract, guys. You can't just start fucking deciding you're just going to get rid of all these players. Go to the off. We'll have one more re-sign period. That's where we can really decide if we want to keep Randall or what we want to do. You get one more chance to re-sign the guys, or you have to tag them, obviously. If it's somebody you really want, you should have at least made them an offer during the season, maybe two.
Scouting points are earned every week.
Just be
Use
careful
all of
not
your
to.
points, because a portion of the remained points will be lost when you advance the week.
Be careful not to offer them too many contracts that don't work for them, because they will just automatically during the season say that they don't want to play for you.
This is the last
so the only option you'll have is to franchise tag them. You won't even get an option to re-sign them again. So here's where we can still see where we're at cap-wise. We still have $48 million. So he already told us once, what did he say last time? Salary and length are great, but bonus could be better. So if you really wanted Randall, just give him a little more fucking bonus, man. Just make him happy. And he may not. See, he's good with it. So there was none of the other guys that just jumped off as, hey, we got to sign them. But you can look at any of these guys. A lot of these are depth guys that you definitely may want to keep. I'm not going to dig that deep into this. But that's the only move I can see that makes sense right away. And then you just want to go ahead and force advance. You will have to force it since we have multiple teams that we're assigned to. If you just hit go to the next week, it'll wait on you to do it for each team. So you just want to make sure that you we'll just go ahead and upgrade all your players. Just do it quickly. But off-season, season 1, man, you've already got $41 million cap to sign guys. And look at your available funds, $71 million. I mean, Raiders are already in excellent shape just off a couple moves. And just off getting to the next season. There it is. Check out the Washington logo. Hell yeah, man. So you'll have money to actually play in free agency or go out and spend big money on players to fill this team out. And we're still only down to 47 players. And I didn't even manually do anything. I just let them choose. So we could have probably kept some people that they got rid of. So definitely easy cap situation. It looks bad by seeing the negative, but I swear, man, you're just fine. And there's still so much money we could get rid of if we just absolutely needed it. So once again, last thing, just always look at the total contract and look at the bonus. If there's a big gap in between, then that's somebody that you can save some money. But if it's real close, I mean, even that, you're gonna be cutting it close on how much you're actually gonna save. Like Joyner, that one right there is just absolutely hell no. I'm not paying a guy to play somewhere else. I will let him play his contract out and trade him or just not sign him before I take that cap hit unnecessarily. So always look at that. But this team still has so much money that we could save if need be, but we don't need it. I mean, look, we're already up, $52 million with an 11.9 rookie, so we're still going to have a shit ton of cap going into year 2. So that's essentially my quick, obviously it's just a 30-minute. I'm not going to go too much more in depth than that. But if you guys ever need any help with anything, let me know. But don't be afraid to go ahead and process the trades that you're talking about in DMs. So before you tell that guy, yes, let's do it, let's lock it up, just tell him, let me run it through my cap and let me see what we're working with. And then just make sure you assign the team so that you can actually process the trades, because the computer will deny them. A lot of the trades that we accept, the computer says hell no. So user management, user teams, and you just do it right here under this tab. It's not hard at all. So I hope this helped a couple guys. Just know once you get through this, you just repeat the same steps for the seasons moving forward. But you always want to be looking at the players' salaries, and you always want to be looking at the guys that are coming up in a year or two to sign. So right off the bat, look at all these twos. So these are guys that coming up during this season, they're going to want to start talking about their contract. We're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with them. Do you want to go ahead and plan for this going into this season? You don't want to get stuck and then not have no money. Look at all these twos. So we solved your cap situation right off the bat, but you got a lot to still figure out. But just know you have money that you can get rid of players, so you will be perfectly fine. Don't be afraid to go out and make some trades, man. Make some splash. You got a lot of young guys, and you got a bunch of old heads that don't need to be on your team. Don't be afraid to pay some guys and go out and make some trades, or just make sure you make your draft picks, obviously. So other than that, man, I'm getting rid of Carr. I'm trying to find a quarterback at least to get you through season 1. Obviously, we done the thing for Drew Lock, and you may have to pay a quarterback more, so you may not end up with $52 million. But you have to get rid of fucking Derek Carr's contract. There's no sense in paying that motherfucker. And then you got to get rid of Hudson, or whatever his fucking name was. I think it was Hudson. Jackson, sorry, Gabe Jackson. You got to get rid of Gabe Jackson. After we paid the bonus, look how much they're still paying Hudson. Or Jackson. Fuck, I can't get his goddamn name right. So, there's going to be people that have plenty of cap that are going to need a lineman. So, there's just a quick breakdown, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I can do any more informative videos. Obviously, this may be just repeat of information for a lot of y'all. I know people have been in CF for a while, so this is probably not news to anybody, but it definitely helps to get an idea of where you can do and where you can save money right away. But this Raiders cap situation is not bad at all, man. You're going to have all kinds of money, and you don't really have those big jumps in contracts from year to year as a lot of guys do. I mean, the biggest one we saw was the lineman going from $3 million to $15 million, but you don't have these ridiculous jumps from year to year. So it really helps you balance out your cap situation, because you're not having to take into consideration that a guy's about to go from $1 million to fucking $10 million. And those are things you have to think about when you're looking at future contracts. But luckily with the Raiders, I mean, all of these are about the same, or they're barely going up, and then some go down. So it makes it so much fucking easier to manage cap when you know you're going to be about the same each year. So, don't stress over this cap situation, bro. This is chump change. So, but I wanted to break them down because they were negative, and people see that negative and they freak out. How am I going to make this team work? I'm already in the hole in cap. But no, you're not, man. You're in the hole in cap for right that second. But you saw how we could make that money up easily. But like I said, hit the trackpad and make you multiple saves after each move. That way you can always back up to where you was before that trade if you don't like what it done to your cap. So, other than that, guys, I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate y'all jumping on. If there's anything else I can do, informative or whatever, just let me know. I'll be happy to break another team's cap down if they just absolutely think that they're fucking up. We can do it privately, or we could go live with it like this. So, but you guys have a good night, and I'll see you shortly.